Good afternoon, everybody. We're taking a look at what's happening in the ocean right now. I shared a video with you guys, and that video was showing a tremendous amount of wind coming across Young's Bay. And a couple of you right, I was standing real close to La Cavagna restaurant. And you can see that the whitecaps on the bay are just coming steadily towards the road. So a lot of different explanations were offered for this. Some people pointed out the muddy mixing that was going on. That's true. There is a lot of mixing going on because of the wind. Some people said that it was a high tide or a flood tide. It was real close to the slack high water that day. But the primary phenomenon here is the wind coming at us. And while another answer was offered that it was the river mixing with the sea, that is true too in the greater estuary here. The point I was getting at is that steady wind, and it's coming from this direction, and that direction happens to be the direction of northwest. If we go to a little map I've drawn up here, you can see that the winds are being portrayed right here by these arrows. The X right here shows where I was filming from, and then these bars going across like this are showing the whitecaps coming towards the road. And it's north is up in this image, and west and east, so the winds are coming from the northwest. So the question's got to be asked, well, what do winds from the northwest do offshore? Since the question is about what's happening offshore, not in Young's Bay, but what's this mean is happening offshore. And recall from last quarter that if you have wind moving over the surface of the water underneath that wind is going to move 90 degrees to the wind direction because of the Coriolis effect. And so we call this arrow right here and right here Ekman transport. So in this, go below this dashed red line, we'll look at a 3D section from underneath. And here's the Ekman, the wind now flowing this way, and Ekman transport takes place in the form of the surface water, which is moving 90 degrees to the wind offshore. And if it moves offshore, the water is going to be drawn up from underneath. This water underneath is cold and nutrient rich, and that is what is upwelling. So what this means is that in the situation right here, what we've got is essentially a situation where there's good, strong, steady wind. Anytime you drive by it, it's coming out of the northwest, we can bet that there's good upwelling happening offshore. And why this is appropriate right now is we're about to look into a phenomenon called dead zones, and dead zones are what can go wrong when there's strong upwelling. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys on the online classroom.